Now, some of the major issues I'm going to explore tonight help to complete a pretty stark, worrying and damning picture of the Albanese government that no one can pretend away any longer. This Labor government promised to be one thing and it's rapidly turning out to be another. And the PM is becoming adept at dodging the tough issues. When he spent only 4 hours in crisis-ridden Alice Springs and then 3 days at the tennis, he became tennis elbow. And while he's talking up his plans to march at the Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras this weekend, the PM's current visit to Western Australia isn't going down too well, with his priorities again under fire. Have a look at the local coverage last night.
The Prime Minister says the decision to end the cashless cards has been made and he's sticking to advice that led to an election promise. He's also standing by his choice not to visit Laverton, despite 7 news revealing a town gripped by alcohol-fuelled violence and poverty.
This is the Prime Minister's 9th trip west since he won the election, and while he certainly does a lot of travelling, there are limits. That's why he ended up in Kalgoorlie this morning, and tiny Laverton, 4 hours drive away, missed out. They've been asking for days for him to come to see for himself what they have to put up with, but he couldn't fit them in.
Well, I can't go to every single place in Australia on every day.
Ouch. That was top rating 7 News, but it was no better on Channel 9.
But it's the places the PM hasn't visited attracting criticism as he prepares tonight to dine with Perth's movers and shakers.
Regional leaders calling for the Prime Minister to visit their towns while he's here as they battle a crime wave.
They're generational issues that need to be addressed not only by the state governments but by the federal governments.
Local mayors say they've seen an increase in regional crime since the cashless credit cards was scrapped in October last year.
There is no doubt that the cashless debit card significantly benefits communities. I worked in the Aboriginal Health Service in Carnarvon and saw firsthand those impacts.
Any hope of reinstating those cards appear unlikely.
We have our position, which is a smart card, is available.
Well, Peppermint Grove is a far cry from those regional WA towns and their serious issues, but that's where the Prime Minister is tonight, brushing shoulders, Michael Stamp, with Perth's elite.
Yeah, there you go. The Labor Party, the party of the workers, hey? Opposition leader Peter Dutton was clever enough and diligent enough to turn up where the locals were crying out for attention, and they're complaining about federal Labor's abolition of the cashless debit card.
There are a lot of mayors here in WA at the moment in regional and remote areas who are very worried that they're heading down the Alice Springs path.
Yeah, the tide is turning on this government. The honeymoon is over and accountability is on its way. This Albanese Labor government has conned voters and is implementing a hard left radical agenda that it denied during the election campaign. In that way, it's just like the Rudd and Gillard governments. We saw the easy dishonesty from this mob yesterday with Treasurer Jim Chalmers telling the world that the Reserve Bank independently chose to get rid of the monarch from the $5 note, and then documents proving it was his explicit choice. But the other deceptions run much deeper. Take energy. Before the election, they told us this.
Reducing power prices by $275.
By 2025, $275 a year.
$275 a year.
We'll get power prices down by $275 a year.
In reality, as you know all too well, power bills have gone up by more than they were supposed to go down. They'll probably increase by more than double Labor's promised reduction. And we've got an energy supply crisis too. The Australian Energy Market Operator has released another report warning we don't have enough power generation. It says there remains an urgent need for additional commitments to occur, including in dispatchable projects such as long-duration storage to make sure our power supplies are reliable. In common English, we need more power. The AEMO boss never accepts our requests for interviews. He prefers the ABC, where they're fully on board with the renewables evangelism. Here he is with the grim news.
The overriding message is that throughout the decade, every mainland state will see reliability challenged by the retirement of 5 coal-fired power stations this decade and That does total around 13% of the current capacity of the national electricity market.
There you go. We're still getting rid of coal. We're forcing coal out of the system and a lot of gas generation as well before we have anything to replace it with. Now, the Climate Minister, he also only talks to the Renewables cheer squad. Well, he reckons the answer is for governments and the private sector to spend tens of billions of dollars more on renewables, batteries and transmission, the same mix that's created this mess. And we're the ones who are going to have to pay for it all.
So we need more renewable energy, we need it dispatchable, and as I've said many times to you, PK, and to your listeners, this transition to renewable energy needs to be faster than it has been over the last decade, much faster and much more orderly and reliable than it's been over the last decade, and that's what we are achieving.
Yeah, it's the old definition of madness, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results this time. Solar and wind energy is not dispatchable. Batteries don't store enough energy and they cost way too much. We need more dispatchable power, firming power to back up the renewables, and that means undoubtedly, unavoidably, more gas-fired generation. But this mob would rather spend billions on solar farms, wind turbines and offshore wind too, all connected by an extra 10,000 kilometres of transmission lines. 10,000 kilometres. This is why your bills are going up, and this is why you could be facing more blackouts.